the Right Honourable Michaëlle Jean, Governor-General, Commander-in-Chief of Canada, Mr. Jean-Daniel Lafond.
Please be seated.
It is the wish of Her Excellency, the Governor-General, that ladies and gentlemen be seated.
Your Excellencies, honourable colleagues of our historic legislature, recipients of the Governor-General's Carrying Canadian Award, Grand Chief and Mrs. Syllaboy, Grand Captain, ladies and gentlemen, and distinguished guests, Mr. Speaker. It is my privilege and honour to welcome to Nova Scotia Her Excellency, the Governor-General of Canada, Michaëlle Jean, and His Excellency, Jean-Daniel Lafond. Today, my colleagues and I are doubly privileged to receive Your Excellencies here in this chamber, the first occasion for a Governor-General to address the Nova Scotia Legislative Assembly. As elected members, we are privileged to serve in Canada's oldest seat of government and home to the first responsible government outside of Great Britain. We, along with all Nova Scotians, are part of a rich history that has grown more textured and more worldly through the years. It is notable that Your Excellencies are here in Nova Scotia to mark and celebrate the achievements and contributions of African Nova Scotians. Indeed, this is a time of reflection and learning as our province's people and our shared culture progress forward. On behalf of all Nova Scotians, we also appreciate your outreach, speaking and listening to our youth, new Nova Scotians, women leaders, and our civic champions. You are helping us all gain insight, understanding, and the tools to be leaders in these times of change, fighting the conditions of poverty, ignorance, and pessimism, and clearing the way to build on our strengths and to celebrate the joy of achievement. Nova Scotians have an unparalleled quality of life. We have beautiful coastlines and landscapes, a vibrant culture, innovative ideas, and the talent to make the most of boundless opportunities. We are succeeding in global business, and we are excelling in life. The strong sense of community, whether in our rural villages or in our cities, offers people the balance to truly enjoy life and what the world has to offer. Nova Scotia has a long history and a rich story, but it's not a closed book. I am truly optimistic about our future. Without further ado, it is my pleasure and honor to introduce Her Excellency to address this chamber and Nova Scotians. Our Governor-General, in her role and in her own life, leads and reflects a broad range of Canadian interests, accomplishments, and expertise. Her Excellency was born in Haiti. She and her family fled Haiti in 1968, seeking to build a new life in Canada. She pursued her studies and academic interests, becoming fluent in 5 languages: French, English, Italian, Spanish, and Creole. Madame Jean worked for 8 years with shelters and transition homes for abused women in Quebec. She was also involved in aid organizations for immigrant women and families. In 1988, she began what would become her brilliant and award-winning career as a journalist and anchor of broadcast information programs at Radio-Canada and CBC. Madame Jean is married to His Excellency, Jean-Daniel Lafont, and they have a 6-year-old daughter, Marie-Eden, and their family also includes Mr. Lafont's 2 daughters and 2 grandchildren. Ladies and gentlemen, Her Excellency, the Right Honourable Michaëlle Jean, Governor-General and Commander-in-Chief of Canada.
Mr. Premier, Mr. Speaker, Leader of the Opposition, members of the Legislative Assembly, distinguished guests, chers amis, it is a great pleasure for my husband Jean-Daniel Lafont and me to be here in Halifax on our first official visit to Nova Scotia. And it is a great honor to accept this unprecedented invitation to address your legislature, the home of the first form of responsible government in the British Empire outside of Great Britain, and the place where 4 of my predecessors were sworn in as Governors General of Canada. Steeped in history, the land that you represent has witnessed many of the most decisive events that have helped shape our nation and continues to engage the popular imagination. Look back over more than 400 years, and we can clearly see that the history of Nova Scotia is also the history of Canada. The first signs of openness, which are so characteristic of this country, came from the Mi'kmaq First Nations, who greeted the European explorers to this land. And the legend says that a Mi'kmaq woman dreamed of an island floating towards the land of her people. On this island, there were trees and living beings. And according to this legend, this vision is the reason why the Mi'kmaq people were not afraid when they saw the first explorers arrive on their ships. On the contrary, they came to them, traded with them, exchanged knowledge with them. In 1605, Samuel de Champlain and Sieur de Monts founded Port-Royal. That marked the beginning of the French presence in North America, as well as an historic meeting between European explorers and the First Nations. Nova Scotia also played a central role in the struggle between France and Great Britain in the 1700s, most notably at the fortress at Louisbourg. Later, your province welcomed many United Empire loyalists who chose to remain British subjects after the American colonies to the south gained their independence. In the 1800s, Nova Scotia prospered as a center of maritime trade, at the same time enriching this province's unique cultural heritage. In 1867, Nova Scotia entered Confederation as one of the 4 founding partners in the enterprise known as Canada. In the 20th century, Halifax continued to leave its mark on history. The devastating Halifax explosion reminds us of this city's storied role as a great naval port. And Pier 21 served as the gateway to new beginnings for more than 1 million immigrants, refugees, and war brides. and figuratively, this city and your province harbored the creation of the Canada we have become. Visiting Pier 21 for the first time last spring, I was deeply touched by a special exhibit on the Underground Railroad that assisted more than 30,000 blacks to escape slavery in the United States. By following the North Star to freedom in Canada, they too sought a better life. And in so doing, they also challenged our nation to forever abandon its own toleration of slavery. As this is Black History Month in Canada, and the 200th anniversary of the passing of Britain's abolition of the Slave Trade Act, I think it is especially important to reflect on this chapter of our collective history. And yesterday morning, on a return visit to Pier 21, I was profoundly moved and inspired by the personal stories of courage and tenacity of a diverse group of immigrant women from all corners of the world who have achieved their dream of becoming successful, productive, and socially engaged citizens. And Province House itself evokes a history rich in lessons about freedom and about nation building. It was here, after all, that Joseph Howe defended himself against a trumped-up libel charge after exposing government corruption. The oratorical marathon that he performed in this building in 1837, arguing for the importance of free speech, remains legendary among journalists across this country. Although even the most demanding filibuster in this House is unlikely to require any of you to hold the floor for 6 straight hours, as he did, at least one of his observations is worth committing to memory. To the jurors charged with deciding his fate, Mr. Howe confessed, "When I sit down in solitude to the labors of my profession, the only questions I ask myself are, what is right? What is just? What is for the public good? Et pouvoir parler franchement de l'injustice sous toutes ses formes constitue un élément essentiel de la notion même de démocratie. Et la capacité que nous avons au Canada d'exprimer nos opinions sans restriction, ni censure, ni peur, est un cadeau précieux pour lequel des femmes et des hommes du monde entier se battent, et parfois même jusqu'au sacrifice de leur vie. Sans la liberté d'expression, il nous serait impossible de parler ouvertement des injustices du présent ou du passé. Freedom of speech is essential for us to be able to speak openly about the wrongs of the present as well as those of the past. Whether it is to lament and learn from the wrenching expulsion of the Acadians in 1755, or the more recent destruction of Africville in the late 1960s, and the community spirit that once resided there, despite the tragic treatment of its impoverished residents. And this freedom we collectively cherish should also permit us to question circumstances that disadvantage certain of our fellow citizens. Freedom of speech is one of the most powerful tools we have to challenge inequities. And every one of us has a responsibility to take part. Because as Martin Luther King Jr. famously noted, until all of us are free, none of us is free. The success of Nova Scotia, like the success of Canada, is compromised when people within the community suffer from poverty or from discrimination of any kind. As Governor General of Canada, I have pledged to use my office to focus attention on the importance of breaking down such solitudes. And I believe in taking apart the walls of difference that continue to separate us, those imposed by geography and age, by gender and ethnicity, by language and religion, by education and ability. And how can we eliminate the barriers between us? By listening to one another, by fighting against indifference, by working together. In collaboration, we can find solutions to the social alienation that drives some of our fellow citizens to isolation and despair. And I stand for a society where Aboriginal peoples, citizens of British and French ancestry, African Canadians, and people of all origins can live together in a spirit of mutual respect. While there is always room for improvement, together we are living an achievement that has eluded many societies. And the freedom of speech that you nurture in this chamber is essential to support it. So I am honored to have had the opportunity to begin this dialogue here today, and I look forward to continuing it. While my husband and I are here, we are participating in meaningful encounters with a wide variety of Nova Scotian communities. I was very impressed by the team and young residents of Phoenix House, whose stories were so encouraging. And last evening's celebration at the Black Cultural Center was so moving, as it really demonstrated how far Canadian society has progressed. And yesterday, my husband brought together, for the first time ever, at Dalhousie University, Francophone community leaders, students, and university representatives. And through this groundbreaking discussion, participants forged new ties and discovered new ways of working together. It was a strong reminder that Francophones are not alone in wanting to keep the French language alive, nor is it their responsibility alone. The people of Nova Scotia, that you, members of this Honourable Assembly, represent, have important matters to discuss, inspiring stories to share, and valuable lessons to teach us all. And I am here to listen and would like to thank the members of this historic house for extending this wonderful invitation to be the first Governor General to address the Nova Scotian Legislative Assembly. Thank you ever so much for the opportunity to address you today. Merci infiniment. Merci de m'accueillir.
Excellency, I would now ask the Leader of the Official Opposition and Leader of the New Democratic Party to bring remarks.
Your Excellency, on behalf of the Official Opposition NDP Caucus, welcome to Nova Scotia and to Province House, the home of the first representative democracy in North America. It is a great honor to be given this opportunity to say a few words on the occasion of your first official visit to our province. And as a former member of the Canadian military and the current opposition critic for military affairs, I'd like to acknowledge your role as Commander-in-Chief of our armed forces and your continuing efforts in support of our women and men in uniform. It is a particular honor that you have chosen to visit Nova Scotia in this month, set aside to celebrate our diversity, Black History Month. It is an opportunity to celebrate and acknowledge the vast and vital contributions made by African Nova Scotians to the history of this province, from education to athletics, from commerce to the arts. A time of year, as you so aptly put it in your Black History Month message, to remember the women and men who broke down the barriers and fought discrimination, guided by the strength of their convictions and driven by the hope of a better world. Nova Scotians like Portia White, for whom one of our province's highest artistic honors is named. Bill Riley of Amherst, one of the first Black players in the NHL. Judge Corinne Sparks, for whom a Dalhousie University Law School award was recently named, recognizing her trailblazing law career. And of course, young Nova Scotians making their mark, like Shante Grant, a multi-talented performer, musician, and journalist. And let's not forget the African Nova Scotia MLAs who have only in the past few decades been able to take their place in this legislature. This is a month to celebrate achievements, and it is also an opportunity to acknowledge the continuing challenges we face to ensure that all Nova Scotians share in our prosperity. Thank you again for visiting our province at this important time of year. I know that I will get agreement when I say that in your relatively short time you have been our Governor General. Canadians have come to recognize that you embody how we see ourselves and what we still strive to be. It's in the passion that you brought to your earlier work to better the lives of women and children across the country, efforts that are a reflection of Canadians' compassion and caring that is the envy of other countries of the world. It's in your work to help immigrants to our country that reflect our shared goal of creating a more open and tolerant society. And it is your current efforts as Canada's Governor General representing to the world the best that our country has to offer. But as I said, your actions and your words not only remind us what we have achieved, but also what we continue to strive for. And that is best reflected in our youth and the hope for a brighter future. I know in your visit you have had the opportunity to meet with young people and those who are working to ensure that they meet their potential. The kind of youthful energy and enthusiasm that you have brought to the job of Governor General is an inspiration to young people here and across the country. Thank you again for your visit to our province. As you know, Nova Scotians are famous for their hospitality, so drop in and visit us anytime you like. The tea is always on.
Your Excellency, I would now call upon the interim leader of the Liberal Party to bring remarks.
Thank you, Mr. Premier. On behalf of the Nova Scotia Liberal Caucus, I would like to extend a sincere and warm welcome to Her Excellency, Governor General Michaëlle Jean, and His Excellency, Jean-Daniel Lafont. Au nom de mes collègues dans le caucus libéral, je vous souhaite la bienvenue à notre province et à notre Assemblée législative. Our caucus is extremely proud to be part of this significant and historical event. It's the first time ever a Governor General has addressed our House of Assembly in this historic Province House, the oldest legislature in Canada. The Liberal Caucus would also like to extend congratulations to Her Excellency on receiving the Black Cultural Society's Award of Distinction for Excellence, a fitting tribute to a Governor General who has become a positive role model for youth in Canada and in her native Haiti. We have 48 African Nova Scotian communities in this province that all celebrate a proud heritage stretching back as far as the 17th century. African Heritage Month is currently in its second decade in Nova Scotia, and we are proud the Governor General is here to mark the event with us. I would like to thank the Governor General for reaching out to so many people during her time here in Nova Scotia. A visit to the Black Cultural Centre, a generous donation to Phoenix House in Her Excellency's name, and Her Excellency's discussion with women who have immigrated to our great province really makes a difference. I would also like to pass on our gratitude to His Excellency, Monsieur Lafont, for taking the time to speak with artistic community, making us all understand that art really does matter in our society. And I also want to thank Monsieur Lafont for who sat down with Francophone community leaders. Comme vous le savez, la communauté acadienne, de laquelle j'en fais part avec mon collègue, M. Wayne Godet de la région de Clare, et l'honorable ministre de la Santé, M. D'Autremont de la région d'Argyle, et la communauté francophone à la Nouvelle-Écosse, partagent votre langue maternelle, le français. Et nous aussi font partie de la communauté minoritaire ici à la Nouvelle-Écosse. Votre visite et votre appui nous touchent au cœur. Today, the Liberal Caucus would also like to pass along congratulations to the 6 recipients of the Governor General's Caring Canadian Award. These individuals generously give of themselves to their communities while asking for nothing in return. They are an example to us all. Before I close, I would like to invite the Governor General and His Excellency to return to Nova Scotia soon. There are many incredible communities whose people would welcome them warmly. Allow me to be so bold as to invite you to my home region, along with the region by the Premier and several of our colleagues on Cape Breton Island, where we would love to be able to host Her Excellency and His Excellency, hopefully, in the very near future. In case you haven't heard, as was mentioned by the Leader of the Opposition, Nova Scotians' hospitality is second to none. We are all very anxious to demonstrate to the world how wonderful this province really is. Encore une fois, grand merci pour votre visite à notre province. Bon succès. Thank you. Merci beaucoup.
Merci.
Your Excellency, we may even throw a fiddle tune in along with that cup of tea. We are honored that Their Excellencies, the Governor General and her accomplished spouse, Monsieur Lafont, have come here to our province. To mark the occasion of their visit, the province of Nova Scotia has presented a gift in the form of a donation to the Phoenix Youth programs. These highly respected programs for at-risk and homeless youth here in Halifax provide continual support, including education, employment, emotional, social, and independent living programs. Dedicated staff and volunteers deliver these programs at Phoenix House, Phoenix Centre, the Learning and Employment Centre, supervised departments, and more. I know that Her Excellency's visit with Phoenix House staff, volunteers, and youth participants inspired them and so many Nova Scotians. Earlier this morning, Her Excellency also recognized the vital role people play each and every day, giving of themselves and of their communities. Her Excellency presented the Governor General's Caring Canadian Award to some outstanding Nova Scotians recognizing their dedicated volunteer work. And we are fortunate to have with us here today these individuals who have shown a lifetime of giving back to others. These men and women from 6 communities throughout Nova Scotia are here in the Speaker's Gallery, and I would like to take this opportunity to ask them to rise, and so that my fellow members and I may acknowledge the years of service that they have given to their communities, but also to the citizens of our great province. Your Excellencies, on behalf of all Nova Scotians, with loyalty, affection, and esteem, we bid you welcome and continued success. Thank you for being here with us here today and visiting our great province. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Please rise for the departure of Their Excellency. The Speaker.
Please be seated. Order, please. At this time, we would like to invite all of the guests that have assembled in the gallery today for this historic visit to now proceed to the Red Chamber on this level of the Legislature for the reception with Her Excellency. So please feel free to move at this time. And there's a couple other matters before the House that will take just a few moments. So at this time, I'd ask you to make your way and help continue with the celebration for this Nova Scotian first. Order, please. Order, please. Given this special session of the House today, it was an opportunity for a first and a beginning in Nova Scotia to a new, possibly, tradition, and Nova Scotians are now well versed in establishing great traditions. And as much as it's a beginning, it's also marks an end. To one degree, and I would now call upon the Honourable the Premier.
Well, thank you very much, Mr. Speaker, and it's my pleasure to rise in my place and to bring a few brief remarks with respect to where our colleague, the member for Cole Harbour Eastern Passage. And Mr. Speaker, the member for Cole Harbour Eastern Passage has been here now, I guess, almost 9 years and a few more weeks. And I want to wish our member and our fellow colleague all the best as he moves forward into his new role and the responsibilities that he'll be undertaking in Vietnam. Mr. Speaker, when I think of the member, there's many things I think about. But this is on the record, so I can't say them. But Mr. Speaker, you know, having been come to this legislature not long after that, in 1999, like all members of this House, I've gained a real respect for that member. And one of the things that has always struck me is his detail here in the House of Assembly as House Leader, and his real passion for the rules of the House and the engagement of those rules and the history of the House. And along with that, of course, his passion for justice and law and order here in Nova Scotia. I don't think a week went by where he didn't ask a question on law and order. Many to the gentleman right beside me here, like the Minister of Finance. But I think that, and I believe that the people of Cole Harbour Eastern Passage have been well served by the member. And we are all interested in, of course, what happens with our province. But we have a particular interest, of course, in our ridings. And I think the member, whether it was talking about schools or other important issues in his riding, has always spoken up for the people of Cole Harbour Eastern Passage. Yes. That's right. Yes. Yeah. Yeah. But Mr. Speaker, I also want to extend best wishes to his wife Megan and his children as well, and the change which will now be happening in their life with his new responsibilities. We thank you for all you've done in this chamber. We thank you because we are all friends in this chamber, Mr. Speaker. We often sometimes the level gets raised in here. We get sometimes emotional in question period and at other times, but the member for Cole Harbour and Eastern Passage has given a great deal to the people of his riding and to the people of our province. And from our government, from the PC caucus, I want to say congratulations and to best of luck to the member.
The Honourable Leader of the Liberal Party.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker, and it's a pleasure to be able to rise to say a few words in regards to our colleague, the member from Cole Harbour Eastern Passage. And it's so rare that we do have the opportunity here in this chamber, Mr. Speaker, to recognize some of our colleagues who have served and for one reason or another have either not reoffered for office or have left to pursue other ventures, and certainly this is a golden opportunity, and I want to recognize Speaker for giving us the opportunity to do that. Speaker, as the member from Cole Harbour Eastern Passage is well aware, we have many things in common, both him and I. We were both elected on March 24th, 1998. We were both re-elected in 1999, 2003, 2006. In fact, March 24th of this year will be the 9th year anniversary, and I was hoping my colleague could have stayed for that, but certainly we'll think of him on March 24th. In fact, there's still a number of us from that class of 98 that continue to serve in the House of Assembly. Mr. Speaker, we're also both lawyers, and both of us served for many years on the Law Amendments Committee. At the same time, we're similar in age, he being a little bit older than I, but I'm pleased to say as well that we both still have a full head of hair, and we're both very sensitive to anyone who would suggest anything but. Mr. Speaker, there's even some that have suggested that we even look alike in some ways, but I'm very pleased that every night when someone says that my wife Claudine still tells me that I'm the better looking of the two, so That's why I married her. Mr. Speaker, as has been mentioned by the Premier, we know that the member from Cole Harbour Eastern Passage has always had a great passion, not only for his job here in this House, but certainly with how the House operates, and as well with the laws that are debated here in this House and with the technicalities surrounding it. And I believe during his time as House Leader that he's certainly done a commendable job, but not only for the NDP caucus, but certainly for all of us here in the House on a number of those issues. But I have to tell you, Mr. Speaker, when we learned that he'd no longer be an MLA and obviously no longer be the House Leader, I can tell you we were all in great fear, certainly in our caucus, and I believe probably in the government caucus, because there had been a rumor out there that the leader of the NDP might be bringing back John Home to be the House Leader of the NDP caucus. And I can assure you, we would have done our best to convince the member from Cole Harbour Eastern Passage to stay at that point had that happened. Mr. Speaker, as well, both myself and the member from Cole Harbour Eastern Passage have always enjoyed a great interest in the democracies in foreign countries during our time here as legislators, and we've both been able to compare notes about some of our travels, our experiences, and the great knowledge that we have learned in our own efforts to try to encourage democracy in many of the countries where they do not enjoy the freedoms that we enjoy here. In fact, Mr. Speaker, I was hoping that the member from Cole Harbour Eastern Passage may have been actually arriving at his new location sooner, because next week I leave for Cambodia, and which is not too far from where he will be, and I know all of my colleagues will be happy to hear, unlike the member from Cole Harbour Eastern Passage, I'm actually coming back to the House of Assembly. So, but Mr. Speaker, as well, I know there's simultaneous translations that's taking place now, so allow me to say que je sais que mon collègue de Cole Harbour Eastern Passage, reconnaissant son dernier nom de veau, reconnaissant ses racines acadiennes, reconnaissant que pendant ces années qu'il nous a indiqué pouvoir s'exprimer mieux de la langue française, de la langue acadienne. Et je l'encourage, pendant qu'il est au Vietnam, de reconnaître qu'il a une grande communauté francophone au Vietnam. Et alors, il aura l'occasion, avec ses enfants, avec son épouse, de prendre l'occasion d'apprendre la langue française et d'être capable de retourner ici en Nouvelle-Écosse un jour, partager avec nous sa fierté de sa culture acadienne, de ses racines acadiennes, et de se prononcer ici en français dans notre province. Alors, je l'encourage de faire ça pendant son temps au Vietnam, et je suis certain que ce sera une bonne occasion pour lui en même temps. Mr. Speaker, allow me just to say in English that the member from Cole Harbour Eastern Passage, I believe, has been the Acadian Affairs critic for the most part since 1998, and knows his Acadian roots and his own family, and I believe has been a friend to the Acadian community. And I'm sure I speak on behalf of the leaders within the Acadian community in thanking him for his efforts in supporting our culture, our language, and our community throughout his efforts as House Leader of the NDP and as the critic for Acadian Affairs. Mr. Speaker, let me finish by saying that, as the Premier has said, I believe the people of Cole Harbour Eastern Passage have been well served for the past almost 9 years. And I believe at the end of the day that Vietnam's gain, our loss, will be Vietnam's gain. I wish the member from Cole Harbour Eastern Passage, his wife Megan, his children, a wonderful experience, and I can tell you all Nova Scotians are proud when we see a legislature leave our province to go help a country and being able to build a democracy and to enjoy the same freedom that we enjoy here in Nova Scotia. Thank you, Mr. Speaker.
The Honourable Leader of the Official Opposition.
Thank you very much, Mr. Speaker, and thanks to you and to the Premier for the opportunity to take this opportunity to pay tribute to the member for Cole Harbour Eastern Passage. I wanted to begin by saying I know that as soon as the Premier mentioned the word school and Eastern Passage, that I'm sure the member was hoping that there might be an announcement that actually would commit to. But if you're saving that for him to get up to speak, I could sit down now and you could make that commitment. That would certainly be a highlight of the day if that were the case. You know something, Mr. Speaker, many of us in this caucus have already had an opportunity to speak to Kevin since he's made his decision. We've had our own opportunity to tell him how much we have appreciated the hard work that he's done, his dedication, not just in this House and to his riding, but also to the party, because much of what happens in party work goes unnoticed by people kind of generally. His work with respect to our party's platforms, his work in the structure of the party, in fact, the very way in which we choose our leaders was part of what he contributed as a party member, someone who was keenly interested in the operation of our party. I would note this. I first met Kevin, as I recall, and we were trying to figure this out, but it was around 1984. I was going to law school. He had just started university, so we were both, believe it or not, in YND, the Young New Democrats, together. We ended up, you can imagine that tandem right there, and then we ended up as roommates at the leadership convention in Winnipeg. I remember the Northern Manitoba Suite. I'm not sure if you do or not, but the after that, we in fact both lived in downtown Dartmouth, around the corner from each other, from where I was working. After that, we ended up getting elected on the same night in adjoining ridings. So we've had kind of there's been a kind of continuity to our time in this party, which is sometimes unusual for people to have that kind of history. And I know that he knows, and I think actions always speak louder than words. When I appointed him the House leader, it was because I knew what tremendous talents that he would bring to that job, that he would carry out all those things that are demanded of the House leader with great rigor and apply all of his talents to doing that. And I think that from what has been said here today, Kevin appreciates that all members of the House recognize that has been done. I'm very pleased to tell you that at our last provincial council meeting, the provincial council of my party also passed a motion unanimously thanking him for his contribution in the House and to the party. So I know this is not the first time that Kevin has worked overseas. In fact, he worked for the ILO at one point in time in China, if my recollection is correct. So Kevin has, of course, a long history. The member for Cole Harbour Eastern Passage has a long history of working in countries around the world. And as the leader of the Liberal Party said, certainly Vietnam's gain will be our loss, felt acutely so by us in the opposition benches. So thank you, Kevin. Thank you.
Thank you. While the member for Cole Harbour Eastern Passage is indeed going to Vietnam, where we know temperatures are known to be very hot, I can assure him I don't need a groundhog to predict things will heat up here in the very near future as well. At this time, does the member for Cole Harbour Eastern Passage have any comments? I would call upon him at this time. Thank you.
You know, it's like almost, because I was sitting here, some of the new members may not know this, but when, I guess I would have been sitting a couple of seats over before the last election, but used to be I'd have one on this side and I had Jerry Pye over in the corner, Mr. Speaker, and then it was like the devil and the angel sort of going back and forth as I was. I won't say which one's the devil and I won't say which one's the angel, but you know, and I want to start by thanking you, Mr. Speaker, for having the opportunity to have this occasion. As the leader of the Liberal Party noted, it's unusual that we have an opportunity to do this, and from my perspective, I'm humbled by all of this. You know, this is a job that I've loved to do I've loved to represent the people of Eastern Passage and Cole Harbour, and I've been honored to represent them through 4 elections and subsequently. This is a wonderful institution. It's an institution that next year will be celebrating 250 years, and it's an institution that is going to carry on for 250 more years and beyond. And I'm one of a number of people who've had the honor to sit in a chair in this place. And to me, to soak it up, to learn the rules, to understand the decorum, to me only helps understand the respect with which we give this institution. And it's one that I've always been proud to say that I was a member of. And to all those who have given me both private and public comments, I want to thank you. It has been a pleasure serving with all of you and those members who served in the terms before this one. And I say with a heavy heart to some extent that I leave, but it's an opportunity, it's a choice, it's a city, it's the right job for myself and my family, and it's an opportunity that I just can't give up. And I wish you all the best of luck in this house in the years to come, and I will be back from time to time to check in on you. So thank you all.
Thank you. The Honourable Government House Leader.
Thank you very much, Mr. Speaker. Mr. Speaker, I wanted to rise to speak about another honourable member, and that's the Minister of Agriculture. The Minister of Agriculture is undergoing treatment over the next while for his illness, and I just wanted to speak for all members in wishing the Minister of Agriculture and all of his family, because I know from personal experience the kind of strain that this places on the family as well as they're worried for and caring for a loved one. So I simply, on behalf of the members on this side of the House, particularly wanted to extend our best wishes to the Minister of Agriculture and for a speedy and complete recovery. Thank you, Mr. Speaker.
The Honourable Leader of the Liberal Party.
Mr. Speaker, let me just on behalf of our caucus associate ourselves as well with the comments from the Minister of Finance. We certainly want to send our best wishes not only to the Minister of Agriculture but as well to his family. As we all know here in this House, I believe each and every one of us, like so many Nova Scotians, has been touched by illness, and we've seen just how difficult it is. But if there's one member which we all recognize here for his resilience, it would be the Minister of Agriculture, and we certainly are all hopeful that that same resilience that he has shown not only throughout his political career but throughout his life is certainly going to pay big dividends for him as he goes through this current struggle. But certainly all of our hopes and prayers are with him and with his family, and we look forward to seeing him back in this House of Assembly very soon. Thank you, Mr. Speaker.
Thank you. The Honourable Leader of the Official Opposition.
Yes, Mr. Speaker, briefly, would like to add our thoughts and prayers for the Minister of Agriculture. He's a friend to people on all sides of this House. He's someone who I've known since the day I walked through the doors, and interestingly, a person with whom I've had many conversations about the way in which things unfold, the way that this House works, the way that the province works, and I know how keenly interested, in particular, he is in the whole question of rural communities and agriculture. And I know that as bad as we want him to be back here, that he wants to be here. So we wish him a full and speedy recovery on behalf of all the members of our caucus. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Honourable colleagues, we stand adjourned on the call of the Speaker.